Floating in the Mediterranean just off Spain's coast lie the Balearic Islands, Ibiza the wild child, Mallorca the family favourite, Formentera the little sibling no one ever talks about, and then there's Menorca, branded the quiet one. But is it really just the forgotten corner, the calmer option? Because I'd heard rumours, tales of mysterious stone ruins, of gin drunk at breakfast, and cheese and wine around every corner. And that's before we even touch on the ancient burial caves, the pure white villages, and the waters so blue they could shame the Caribbean. So, is Menorca sleepy, or is it secretly spectacular? It's a mystery I could wait no longer to solve, and if you're curious too, let's dive in together, because in this video we're about to find out. Buenos dias. Welcome to Menorca, which is one of the Balearic Islands off the coast of Spain. Now, some of you, if you've been on the channel for a while, you might remember that last year we did Mallorca, which conveniently is situated right behind me there. Okay, so this video, we're going to be here for 7 days on a self-catering break. I'll share the video of the apartment separately in case you wanted to look at that. But this video is primarily going to be about all the things that we get up to here on the island of Menorca. Now, there's lots of history here, which we are going to explore, and there's also lots of great food that you can only get here on the island. So it's going to be an adventure. It's going to be a sunshiny adventure. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name's Claire. This is The Wanderlust Way. I want to take a couple of seconds just to say thank you to everybody that supports this channel by liking, commenting, subscribing and sharing. Honestly, everything that you guys are doing is helping this channel to grow, and it allows me to continue making videos for you, sharing stories along the way, and yeah, just bringing you along. So that is enough waffle. Let's explore Menorca. Menorca might be small, only around 700 square kilometres, but don't be fooled into thinking everything sits side by side. The island's fairly spread out, and if you want to see more than just your resort, chances are you'll need some wheels. Ah yes, I can already see an arm up at the back. Well done. Yes, technically you can walk the whole island if you really wanted to, and we will touch on that later. But for argument's sake, let's assume Bear Grylls is staying at home this time and we're adopting a slightly more casual, on holiday sort of tone. So, walking boots aside, let's dive into the logistics. There's just one airport on the island and flights from the UK take around 2 hours, so getting here is refreshingly simple. With a quick car hire pickup at the airport, you can be free to roam. There is also a bus service, which does work really well if you're happy to stick to the main resorts and bigger towns, but if you've got cheese farms, ruins or hidden coves on your to-do list, a car just makes life easier. And honestly, it was worth it. The roads are calmer than back in the UK, petrol was reasonable, and in most of the places we ventured, parking was free. Driving here made the island feel wonderfully easy, the kind of place where even getting from A to B sets you up for a slower, calmer pace of life.
Looks like $1.59 a litre for the unleaded. So we've been driving around for a week and it looks like it's just going to be around €35 for the car, so that's good value.
Before we dive into the food, the beaches and the history, it's worth pointing out where this adventure is based. Cala'n Bosch, on the southwest coast of the island and within reach of some of Menorca's best known beaches. The brochures describe it as one of the liveliest spots on the island. So, if the question is whether Menorca really deserves its title as the quiet one, then perhaps it makes sense to start in a place that, at least on paper, promises the opposite. Built in the 1980s for tourism, Cala'n Bosch comes with its own beach, a marina, and all the holiday facilities you might expect.
Found a sign which gives lots of information about the area that we are in, and there is a bit in English. So it tells you a little bit about the area, and that Menorca is the second largest of the Balearic Islands. Then it tells you about the lighthouse, it tells you about the marina, it tells you about Cala'n Bosch itself, and it tells you about the natural areas, so you've got some more beaches there. What I found was really interesting is here in the Menorca beach, there it is called Metal Cable. This is where the underwater electricity cable connects Menorca to Mallorca and guarantees the island's electricity supply if the power station in Mayo fails comes ashore. How fascinating is that? There's a little map, got symbols there. And then we're just here. So there are a few things in Menorca that we've been told to try that are quite local while we're here. Now apparently the island is big on lobster, but I don't think we're going to be trying that because I'm not a big fan of the lobster thing. However, there's an ensaïmada. I'm sorry again if my pronunciation's wrong. Ensaimada, which is like a pastry thing. Then the gin, which is famous on the island, and then the pomada, which is like a lemony gin. Then the cheese, which is all over the place, Mahón cheese. Yeah, I think that's it. But if you can think of anything else, obviously let me know in the comments. But we are going to try as much as we possibly can, and we will let you know what they're like.
Food and drink is one of the quickest ways to get under Menorca's skin, and here it wears its influences proudly. Sweet, savoury, and sometimes a little surprising. In Menorca is very, very famous, and we are hopefully going to go and try it at an actual farm or restaurant or something like that later on. However, we noticed that they do this in the supermarket in the envelope here. So it's got obviously Mahón, Menorca, and there was all different types. Now we've already tried it, but they were all really, really nice. I'm going to hopefully learn a little bit more about it and let you know. However, I believe it's different ages makes the flavour different. And then we're going to try the very famous pastry. Now the man in the supermarket, when we chose this one, he told us this was his favourite, and that he even buys one every single day and takes it home after work. So this is the pastry, and now it is famous to Menorca, but I do think they have them in Mallorca as well. But we've gone for, they have different fillings, and we've gone for the pistachio, which again, the man said this was his favourite one. So we're going to give this one a try and see how it is. It looks absolutely delicious. Me and AD are going to share this one, so half each. Let's have a look.
Looks like 2/3 that.
Do you want me to measure them? Should we get the tape measure out? Right, let's try it. So this looks like icing sugar on top. AD, you won't like this, so I might have to eat yours. It's like, oh, it's lovely. Bit like a croissant, but obviously with a real sugary top. And then the pistachio filling. That's really, really nice. I would recommend that if you have got a bit of a sweet tooth.
The first thing you will spot in almost every bakery window is the ensaïmada, a coiled pastry dusted with sugar that's been baked on the island for centuries. The recipe goes back to the 17th century, and it's such a part of Menorca's identity that cafes even pack them into special hexagonal boxes, so visitors can carry them home like edible souvenirs. We've already sampled the supermarket version, yes, but now it's time to see how it compares to one from a traditional bakery in the heart of Mahón.
So here we have got two to try, and it looks quite good, this place. It's called St. Cristo. So, flavour-wise, we have got, what's this one, AD?
Kinder Bueno.
Kinder Bueno flavour. And this one is... Pistachio flavour.
I'm trying them, aren't I?
AD's going to try these.
Oh, you need to try some too.
I will try them.
It's not going to be a pretty sight.
It's like flaky, isn't it? No? That looks really good. Is it nice? Absolutely packed. It tastes a little bit like icing, but I don't think it's chocolate. Really good.
Must be with the amount you've eaten.
I'm looking forward to trying Kinder Bueno. The pistachio is nice.
Good luck with that. Ay bueno.
So he's allowed me to try some of the Kinder Bueno. It's the same. There's loads of filling in both of these. It really is. It's a real treat. They're quite sickly.
What?
You don't think they were sickly?
Absolutely not.
Well, I think it depends on how sweet your tooth is. But,
Well, yours is obviously sweet, so I only had one bite out of it.
well, that's maybe why. I've had too much, I'm very sick. I mean, if they did these in Greggs, I'd be in Greggs every day.
I think it's fair to say that Menorca's favourite pastry gets a definite thumbs up from us. But what about you? Have you tried it? And if so, what did you think? And if not, which flavour would you attempt first? The traditional sugar-dusted classic, rich chocolate, or nutty pistachio, or maybe even a cheeky Kinder Bueno? Let us know in the comments. From sweet to savoury, however, Menorca has another staple that you will spot just about everywhere. It's the famous Mahón cheese. Dotted throughout Menorca, there are lots of dairy farms, cheese farms. We've found one that's really local to where we were staying in Cala'n Bosch, and we've just been, and it's absolutely fantastic to see a product that's being handmade, locally made, and you get to see the cows as well. And I do believe that they do tours, but you have to pre-book that. But they are throughout the island. As we've been driving around, we've seen lots of these artisan cheese farms along the way. So, yeah. Cheese in Menorca isn't just something you slap in a sandwich. It's part of the island's identity. Mahón cheese has been made here for centuries. Its flavour shaped by the salty sea air and the traditional practice of rubbing the rind with paprika and olive oil. You will find it absolutely everywhere, stacked in supermarkets, sliced into tapas boards, and offered in cafes and bars across the island.
And some local cheese.
Can you eat that outside?
Can you eat the rind? We're just about to find out.
Eat that.
Adie's going for it, so if you're still here tomorrow, then yes, you can eat the rind.
Yes, it is delicious wherever you try it, but to really understand it and to get the very best, you need to go straight to the source. And here in Menorca you can, because cheese farms dot the countryside, many of them still working to the same rhythms that families have followed for generations. Visitors can taste their way through the different styles, from young and creamy to aged and sharp, and of course stock up to take home. But warning, once you've tried Mahón cheese at its freshest, the supermarket block just doesn't quite cut it.
Claire looking cheesed off.
Yeah.
What have you got, look?
So that's the, how many years? Like how many months? 9 months?
Which one's that name?
We've got
The
3.
Vel is the year. The Karat is 9 months. And the Semi is 3 months. We love cheese.
That's really cool, that. Got to try it first.
That is probably quite enough cheese chat before this whole video turns into a dairy documentary. But what washes it all down? Well, on Menorca, the answer might surprise you. While most of Spain is synonymous with wine, here the locals have a soft spot for gin. Which brings us to the first city stop in this video, Mahón. Welcome to Mayo, or Mahón. Now this is the capital city of Menorca, and it's famous for lots of things, but most importantly, and this is why I've got this behind me, it is home to one of the largest natural harbours in the world. It is in fact the second largest in the world. The biggest, I believe, is Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, but this is one of the reasons that the British chose this as their big naval base when they were here on the island. So we're going to have a little look around and show you. There's some really cool fun facts which I'll share as we go around as well. And we're here to try the gin, which is, there's a gin shop here that we'd like to try, and lots of other things as well, so stay tuned. Mahón's harbour has always been the city's lifeline, once fought over by empires, but today it's a quieter scene. Fishing boats share the water with ferries and yachts, and the scale of the harbour still gives a sense of how important it's been throughout history. Tucked along the waterfront is one of Mahón's quirks, a bronze mermaid known as Mo. Local legend says she fell in love with a general's son, only to lose him in battle. Heartbroken, she returned to her solitary rock and waited for him forever. The statue keeps her story alive, gazing out to sea as if still hoping he will return.
Now, if you are into your history, there is an island called Isla del Rey. I think it might be over there. There's a yellow boat that you can get down there to take you. Isla del Rey, Ada says. And basically, it was a military hospital island, a British one to be fact, when the British used Mayo as their main naval base on the Mediterranean. Now the nickname, which is pretty cool, is Bloody Island. So I did want to visit, I did want to do a video for you all, however I haven't got time, I've run out of time. But if that's your sort of interesting thing you want to do, then bear in mind that that's in Mayo. So this is like a lovely little outdoor bit, and we've just been sat there having a few drinks. Well, one drink, Coca-Cola, and a water. Yeah, it's lovely round here. Lovely. This building in front of us, we believe is the market. I think that on the side is a bit of a giveaway. However, time-wise, we've not planned it well, because I've got a feeling that it's not going to be open, because we're on the sort of borderline of siesta time now. Some of the shops have closed for their afternoon, and then they'll reopen again in the evening about 5 o'clock. Let's have a look. In the interior courtyard, it looks like they've got some outdoor seating and a stage there, so I'm guessing at some point they do live music. Today is a Monday, so just for the context, and yeah, I've had a bit of a walk around. The main food market is closed now, and a lot of these shops, little stalls, are either closed or in the process of closing. So that's just a little tip for you. Toilets there, €1. €1 to get into the toilet. I would think it'd be quite a good market if it were open. Lots of different cheeses from all over the place, by the looks of things. And then they've got meats as well in here. So some of these deli stalls are still open. You can get a drink by the looks of it, and something to eat here. These meats hanging up, these are a bit of a speciality as well. Now we've had something very similar in Mallorca, yeah, that's right. And they're good. Certainly a haven for foodies. Oh yeah, look at all these olive oils, different flavours. Truffle there, tomato and garlic, blueberry balsamic, fig balsamic, that looks good. Fresh produce over here. The size of these tomatoes. They're cool. They're very cool. Oh look, pumpkins are here. Oh, a bit of Halloween. Now, one of the fun facts we have learned about mayo is mayonnaise actually is supposed to have come from here. The idea was made here, and then the French took it back to Paris where it went crazy and became the mayonnaise that we know today. So that is a fun fact.
Mahón might be Menorca's capital, but during our time here it didn't really feel like one, not in the way Palma does over in Mallorca. Here the pace is quieter, more laid back, almost village-like at times. In a moment though, we'll see how that compares with its biggest rival, Ciutadella, but first, gin.
We're now going to take you to a place where they make the gin. So the gin is really, really famous on Menorca Island. The rumour is that it started becoming very popular since the British came. Because apparently at the time, well, we know at the time, the British loved their gin, and it started to make a revival again, didn't it, recently? So this is the place. It's a distillery, and you can buy this gin all over the island, but it's a little bit cheaper if you come here, and a bit more of an experience coming here. Now you can do a tour. We haven't booked one, so we won't be doing one, but it's still worth having a look, I think.
Well, Ibiza might attract the youngsters to party hard all night, but Menorca attracts a different kind of crowd, the gin drinkers. Feet in the sand, glass over ice, and a slower pace that feels very much in keeping with the island's rhythm. The distillery in Mahón has been producing gin since the 18th century, when the British Navy brought the spirit across, but Menorca made it its own. The recipe uses aged juniper berries, a grape-based spirit, and is still distilled in centuries-old firewood-fired copper stills. So, as Marks and Spencers might say it, this isn't just gin, it's a protected tradition recognised with a European Union geographical indication. You'll spot it in its trademark green bottle, complete with windmill design, lined up across bars and shops all over the island. At the distillery itself, you can wander through the displays, taste a few samples, and of course stock up on bottles, flavoured varieties, or even the odd piece of branded merchandise. It's one part of Menorca's story that's less about all-night raves and more about long afternoons where time slows down, ideally with a glass in hand.
Welcome to Ciutadella. I think that's how they say it. My apologies to anybody who's Spanish if I've pronounced that wrong. Basically, Ciutadella is one of the most popular places on the island of Menorca. It used to be the capital city, but when the British took over in the 18th century, the capital became Mayo. So Ciutadella is still a lovely, busy little place, and we're going to explore and hopefully take you with us. Lots of history here. We've got a cathedral, there's a museum, which was once a convent, and it's supposed to be a really nice market, and lots of nice things like that. So we'll see what we can find.
Ciutadella has seen its fair share of dark history, but today it's all about grand squares and old facades. It's a place to meander, narrow streets lined with artisan workshops and locally made products rather than endless chains. One of the island's most famous exports here are the Menorcan sandals. Once simple farmers' shoes, now reimagined in every colour and style, and you'll spot them everywhere. Shopping here though isn't cheap. Prices are higher than the UK, but that feels part of the Menorcan way. Less about fast fashion, more about things carefully made, rooted in tradition and built to last. But is that a better way to live, or does it risk putting off tourists who just want to shop until they drop? Could that focus on quality over quantity be one of the reasons Menorca feels quieter than its neighbours? What do you think? What do you prefer? Let me know in the comments.
This is a bit of a square going on. Lots of lovely little shops, boutique shops, cafes, bars, restaurants. Now we have just been in that one and had a nice coffee. The one round the corner from it was actually, it's been going since I think the 1940s. That was on my Google map list to go to. However, there was an absolutely massive queue. I think if you look, that might still be the queue to get in, and it goes all around the corner. So we didn't hang around, we went into that one instead, and it was very nice.
Step away from the shops and you can find another layer of Ciutadella, the old convent, now a museum. Once abandoned and stripped of much of its religious decoration, it carries the marks of a city that's had to adapt and rebuild. Today the cloisters and halls hold artefacts and relics from across Menorca's past, remind us that the island's story is far older and more complex than its sun-soaked image suggests.
This is apparently the patron saint of Menorca.
The convent church here began life in the early 1600s. Its design inspired by Madrid and built to rival some of Spain's finest. For a time, it was considered as grand and beautiful as anything you'd find in the capital. But that splendour didn't last. At the end of the Spanish Civil War, the church was ransacked. Altars, paintings, even the organ, stripped, burned or smashed in the streets. The doors never reopened for worship. Instead, the buildings stumbled through strange new lives. A hall for plays, charity raffles, even a makeshift sports court, before being abandoned altogether. For decades it decayed, looted piece by piece, until finally in the 1990s, restoration began. The chapels were cleaned, the dome repainted, and fragments of its past brought back together. Today what you see isn't the untouched splendour of the 17th century, it's a survivor. A building that has been stripped, scarred and resurrected, carrying the weight of centuries in its walls.
Ciutadella has been absolutely beautiful, and I will recommend it to anybody that likes a bit of culture, a bit of food, a bit of wine, a bit of that sort of thing, yeah. I think if you come into Menorca, you probably like that sort of thing anyway.
From the cobbled streets of the cities, we jump to the opposite end of the island, where whitewashed walls and winding alleys paint a very different picture. Binibeca may look like a timeless fishing village, but appearances can be deceiving.
Welcome to Binibeca, which is a fishing village. It's about 20 minutes from the airport, so it's a good one to tie in if you've got time before your flight or after your flight. And it's like all white houses, isn't it? Lots of cute little white houses. I'll tell you a little bit about it as we have a little walk around.
Binibeca isn't quite what it seems. Far from being an ancient fishing village, it was purpose-built in the 1970s with tourists in mind. A kind of architectural stage set, complete with winding alleys and whitewashed walls. It is undeniably photogenic, which is why it's become one of Menorca's busiest hotspots. People, of course, flock here for the gram, for those perfect shots. But beyond taking photos, maybe having a drink or a bite to eat, we didn't notice a great deal to keep you occupied. And for the residents who actually live here, the constant flow of tourists wandering past their front doors must get old fast. But I guess they chose that if they bought a house where it was a tourist village. Anyway, I'm going by the by. So, crowds, cameras and queues, not exactly the picture of Menorca as the quiet island. And if you think that's busy, wait until you see what it's like on the beaches.
One thing we have now learnt about Menorca is that, especially on the south of the island, well, that's all I'm comparing it to really, it's literally impossible almost to get to a beach. So as you're driving towards the beaches, they are like signs at the top of the road that tell you whether the car park is full. Now, every single day of our trip that we have tried to get into a car park, it's been full. Today we thought we'd go try a different beach, a quieter beach, but you still have to go down the same road. When we got to the end, we found that it was absolutely ram-packed. We couldn't get in, so we're basically turning back round again. So this should have been a holiday of beach hopping. It's not. Definitely, in my point of view, from the experience we've had, Mallorca is much easier to get to a beach, even though Menorca has the most coastline of beaches, so it should be the better island. We spoke to the guy on reception and he said he's had people in the hotel that have got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the beach for the day. So if that's what everybody's doing, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, to be quite honest with you, I'm not going to be bothered to do that on my holiday. So if you want to do that, then crack on. But I'm just giving everybody a heads up that it's not easy going to the beach from our opinion on the south of the island, especially those popular beaches. So we've tried Tuqueta, we've just tried one of the other ones, which is a smaller one, so we're going to try and get on Cala'n Bosch beach, which is the closest one to our hotel. However, I've read on Google that that's also really busy, so we might just end up back at the pool. It is what it is.
The most famous beaches were out of reach for us this time, every car park full before we even got close. But we did manage to slip onto a few others: Blanca, Cala'n Bosch and Santandria. All of them were busy, yes, but they were definitely not the picture of quiet brochures that you might be expecting, but the water itself was stunning. Cala'n Bosch shimmered in the kind of turquoise you'd expect on a glossy magazine cover, but my favourite was Santandria, a touch more relaxed, and we even grabbed the very last spot in the car park. I wouldn't want to imagine what it looks like in the peak of July or August. Have you been during those months? Let us know in the comments what the beaches are like then, because your advice could really help out other travellers planning a trip. And of course, it's not just visitors who notice the crowds. In recent years, the Balearic Islands, Menorca included, have seen protests from locals frustrated that tourism can overwhelm their home. It raises an interesting question. Is this simply the price of living somewhere so beautiful, or should limits be drawn? Either way, Menorca's coastline offers more than crowded sands. Remember the Camí de Cavalls we mentioned earlier? That ancient trail loops right around the island, and while we only dipped a toe in it this time, it's a reminder that there are still quieter ways to find Menorca's wilder side, if you've got the stamina.
If you felt inclined to do this, it is possible to walk the full perimeter of the island. It's called the Camí de Cavalls. Cavalls, which I'm told means something like walk of the horses, because years and years ago, when they wanted to protect the island, they made it possible that there was a full perimeter that the people could go round on their horses and protect the island. It was a defence mechanism, and it's still here today, and obviously today it's not being used to defend the island, thankfully. It is being used instead for people to come and walk it, or I think you can use a horse and do it on the horse either. Has anybody done this trail? Let me know in the comments.
The Camí de Cavalls may let you circle Menorca step by step, but to really understand the island you have to go back much further. Prehistoric monuments still dot the landscape. The Naveta de Tudons, one of the oldest roofed buildings in Europe, or the Necropolis of Cala'n, where tombs were carved into the rock thousands of years ago. It's a reminder that long before tourists came chasing the sun and the sea, people were living, worshipping and burying their dead here in ways that still inspire awe today. And if you'd like to dig deeper into that side of Menorca, I have made a full video all about its ancient burial caves, which you can find on the channel. But what about that big question? Is Menorca really the quiet island? In truth, yes and no. The beaches we visited were as crowded as anything in Mallorca or Ibiza, and sometimes even harder to access. Maybe with more time we'd have found those hidden coves, but in late summer it didn't give off the quiet vibe at all. The towns and resorts, though, were a different story. Compared with Magaluf or San Antonio, Menorca's built-up areas feel calm, with fewer bars, fewer attractions and a gentler pace. In that sense, it really is the quieter sibling of the Balearics. Not as much to do for lively teenagers perhaps, but perfect for travellers chasing history, atmosphere and that slower rhythm of island life. For me, I'd love to come back out of season, to walk more of the Camí de Cavalls, to peel back more layers of history and to see if Menorca's quiet side reveals itself more when the crowds fade. So that is it. Thank you to everybody for watching. I've been Claire. This has been The Wanderlust Way. You've been in Menorca for the last few minutes with me. And I'd like you to tell me if you have been here before, what your thoughts were. If you are thinking of coming, have you got any questions? Feel free to drop them in the comments. And if you're looking for somewhere to stay, then the apartment that we stayed in, it was absolutely fantastic. And I will do a separate video on that somewhere on the channel. So yeah, thanks everybody. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.